Hey guys, Brig here, and today whilst I open up the mail from the past 2 weeks on my different servers, I thought I'd give you guys a little insight into flipping, which is by far the best way of making gold in the game right now, and I'll give you guys a little idea of how to get started with it, what kind of tips I can give you and all of that, so stay tuned. Now, flipping is basically the process through which you buy an item for cheap price and you sell it for a more expensive price. Very, very simple. It's through the whole idea of business is kind of based around that process. But in World of Warcraft, flipping is actually very fun and very, very profitable when done correctly. In fact, it's by far the best way to make gold in terms of time spent, and all of the very best gold makers do it. In terms of the tools you need to get into flipping, you don't actually need much. The one thing I will suggest is Trade Skill Master. I've done many guides on this add-on. Most of you probably have it. But if you don't, it's pretty much required for flipping because you want to search through so many groups of items to try and find one that's cheap, and you want it to be sorted by price and sorted by market value and all that. So that's what Trade Skill Master is going to do. So if you don't have it, go and get it, go watch some guides on it and try and learn it because that's very important. But once you get Trade Skill Master, it's very simple. You just run some search scans. So right now in the shopping scan, I'm running this search, which I favorited, and this is my raid gear search. So what this basically does is sorts all of the items that are 340 and above. So that's all of the world drop BOEs and also all of the raid BOEs from Aldir. And we can see the prices of them and their market value. So what you can then do is press on the little arrow, and that will open up and you can see all the different item levels. So for this leather wrists right here, there is a 355 for 28k, all the 370s are about 43k. If we go down a bit further, 360s are for 38k. So there's an obvious, going up from kind of 28 to 38 to 43, depending on the item level. Apart from this one, which is 18k, it seems a lot cheaper. So what we're going to do, we're going to flip it. We're going to buy it out. We're going to go to the mailbox and we're going to repost it for the normal price. So here we go, run a post scan and we'll repost, and look, it's going to undercut the next one, which is 28k, and we've just made ourselves 10,000 gold. Now, this wasn't the most profitable thing I've ever done, it's only 10k, but still it's nice for very little time spent, and this is one of the highest populated servers in the game, and it's quite hard to find flips on these servers. If you're on a medium pop server or a low pop server, it's going to be much easier for you to find big flips. Now on the high pop servers, flips can still be found like this, and you can often get some, really high value ones as well, and those are going to be the most profitable. So maybe if you're just practicing, do these small ones like this to first get into flipping, and then when you're more experienced and you really know the value of items, you can try a big flip, and we'll cover the big flips in a little bit. So that is the basis of flipping, and it's very, very easy. It just requires a little bit of thinking and a little bit of knowledge of your market. So right here on another server, we got ourselves 557k, and most of that's from the past couple of days. So that's really, really nice, including 313k from these leg wraps. So this is one of the higher end flips that I was just talking about. So 15 days ago, we bought these leg wraps. It says they're item level 350, but I think TSM just lies sometimes. I think they were a higher item level than that. But we bought them for 200k. We resold them for 320k, if you take into account the auction house cut. So that's 120k profit. Really, really nice. If we look at something else, say the Miss Miggy's Tower, we bought it for 35k 7 days ago, and then 5 days ago it sold for 85. So we over doubled our gold in just 2 days, which was really nice. So this is the kind of thing that I've been doing with the exact technique I showed you at the start of the video. It's very, very simple. For those of you who are looking to get into flipping, there are a few things to bear in mind. The first of which is it is quite a risky business. Things can go wrong, and you do need to be a bit careful sometimes. If you don't have much gold, please do not go and start spending all of your gold on one item in the hopes to resell it and make a lot of gold. That's not really how things work. If you only have a bit of gold, then you can't spend a major percentage on one item. If you've got 100,000 gold, you shouldn't be flipping anything that's more than 40,000 gold, I would say. Never spend over half of your gold on one item, definitely not, because it might not sell, and then you'd be in big trouble. Another thing to bear in mind is you really have to be knowledgeable on your market before you start flipping in it, because otherwise you could start buying something that's massively overpriced and it just would never sell. So again, you need to do the research. What I was always told is before I would start flipping everything, I should search and scan the auction house every day for a week and not buy anything, just look at the prices. And what that's going to do is give you a good idea of how much things should sell for on your server, and it's going to mean you don't end up overspending. And that's very, very important, because otherwise you could buy something that just isn't worth it whatsoever. And the same goes the other way. For example, this band of augury right here doesn't actually look like that good a deal. It's 80% of region market value, and it's really not that good. But I know my research, and I know that on this server, these rings sell for a lot. In fact, if you look at my history, 50 days ago I bought one for 70k and I resold it for 140 48 days ago. Now I know a lot of times passed since then, the prices might have gone down, but for the rings, actually the prices haven't moved that much. The rings are still very, very popular. So I would know that if I buy this right now, in fact we can look, there's another one for 160, which is about right. It does have speed as well, so ours will be less. That's another thing to look out for, by the way, guys, is secondary stats. As you can see, this one with speed is going to be worth more than this one without the speed. The speed, I don't know how much it would add. Let's say it adds 20k. So this one's 160. I can sell mine for 140. But that's still 50k profit, which is really, really nice. So what am I going to do? I'm going to buy this right now. I'm going to list it for like 140 or 150. And I think we can get a nice sale. But one thing to remember, guys, is that is quite a risky flip. If you're just getting into flipping, I wouldn't do that. I've got a lot of gold to waste on these servers, so it's fine for me. But for you guys, that's not guaranteed to make you gold. There's no guarantee that this one is going to sell for the price I want it to. So I would really be careful and only invest in the things that are really, really cheap compared to the others and that is obvious is going to make a profit. You can get into the more risky things once you're more experienced, once you have a really good idea of your server prices and all of that, and once you have more gold. But until then, just stick to the simpler things. Another thing to take note of is it's not just BOEs that you can flip. That's the main market that I'm in at the moment because I've been finding it very profitable. But there are lots of other markets. Look right here, the Ghastly Kid. Bought that for like 2k, resold it for 7k. It's a battle pet. So you can flip battle pets. You don't just have to flip raid gear. And you can flip loads of stuff, like you can flip materials as well. But one thing I would be careful with if you want to flip materials is it's quite hard to flip something that's very easy to farm, because if you buy out all of an item on the auction house and resell it for more, someone could just go and farm it up because the price is now really high. They'll go and farm it, undercut you, and it's going to be a bad time. So the best things to flip are things that don't have a really easy way to get them, things that are in limited supply. BOEs obviously are in limited supply, they're an RNG drop. But stuff like old world materials that are much harder to farm, those are in limited supply. Things like you can't even get in the game anymore, stuff like medallions of the Legion, obviously they're a good thing to flip. All of those things are kind of better to flip than a really easy to get item, because that's going to be much harder for you. But once you guys do get more experience, things start to get very fun and you can get some really tasty mailboxes like this one right here, 827k. Very nice. I'm just going to take that and delete it because it messes up the opening. And there we go, some real nice items. Again, some pets, but mostly the BOEs because those are the markets that I'm in. And again, the high-end items are usually the best way to make big gold. For example, I bought these 3 days ago for 150k and I resold them 2 days ago for 303k. So I doubled my gold in less than 24 hours. I made 150k profit in less than 24 hours, which was really nice. And another thing, for those of you who are worried about starting flipping BOE gear right now, because the new patch is coming out with a new raid and everything, do remember that most of the gear changes and the things that drop the new gear are only coming out when the raid comes out, which is like a couple of months after the patch. So realistically, we've still got 2 or 3 months before the crazy new gear starts to come. And that's going to mean these BOEs are still going to be profitable for a while. I mean, if we look back towards the end of Legion, it was like 9 months or 8 months or whatever since the raid had been out, and I was still selling the BOEs. In fact, I've been selling some Legion BOEs in BFA. So you would be surprised how much people will pay for items even though they're very random and not that great item level for the current content, people still buy them, so do bear that in mind. Don't be afraid of starting just because a patch might come out, because patches can always come out, but you're still going to make some good gold. And again, don't be afraid, things might take a while to sell. This thing right here I bought for 57k 32 days ago, and I resold it 15 days ago for 180k, so I tripled my gold, and it took 2 weeks, but still, for 5 seconds of time, I'm fine waiting 2 weeks for that big profit. Really, really nice. I think the only really annoying thing with flipping right now in BFA is the fact that all the deflation and everything has meant that the completely crazy prices that we often saw in Legion haven't been happening as much in BFA, and that's usually because people just don't have the gold. And while saying that, I've got this sale of 500k for some hands, which is quite nice, but I mean in general the sales aren't as high as they were because of deflation. Not as many people have as much gold. It is a bit annoying, but I think the patch is going to slightly address that, and as long as people keep on buying stuff, which they will, I don't think we should be too bothered. Things are still fine. I just hope that Blizzard do address the deflation somehow. And another thing to be careful of, so 44 days ago I bought these Morse chains for 400k. Maybe I was getting too cocky, I might have overpaid for them, but I think I was selling them for like 700k for a while, and that was because they were really high item level. They're like 395 item level. So I thought I'd make like double my gold, and in the end no one was buying them. I waited 40 days, no one was buying them, so I lowered the price slightly to 500k, and they sold, because I didn't want to wait till the new raid came out and everything, because then I'd lose my gold. So we still made 100,000, but we made nowhere near our usual profit percentage, and that's another thing you just have to be wary of. If you're going to spend big gold on an item, the profit can be huge, but the loss can also be huge. If a lot of items of that similar come on your server or something like that, you could end up losing a lot of gold. So definitely be careful. If you want to spend a lot of gold on an item to flip, you have to be ready to lose that gold, because it's no guarantee it will sell. And a final tip before we open up the rest of our mail, I would use trade chat, because trade chat is an excellent source of flipping. You can often find people wanting to sell an item in trade chat, and usually if they're selling in trade chat, they're quite desperate to get rid of it, and you can usually bargain them down quite a lot. If someone's selling something for 50k, you can probably get it for 35k or something, and that could be a great flip for you. So don't disregard trade chat. It can be very, very profitable. And like I say, you do really need Trade Skill Master. It makes it so much easier. I do have plenty of guides on how to set that up, so please do check those out. If you really don't want to use Trade Skill Master, you could probably use something like the Undermine Journal website. That's going to give you a good idea of the prices, and maybe that could work instead of Trade Skill Master, but TSM is going to make things a lot easier for you, and it's going to mean you have to do less research, because you can see the historical price and the region price and everything, and it's just going to make things a lot easier if you do use Trade Skill Master. This is another high profit item, by the way, 375 item level with a socket trinket. I bought it for 219, sorry, and I resold it for about 400, 380 after the cut. So I made almost double my gold on that in literally 24 hours again, because I bought it 9 days ago, resold it for 8 days ago. Literally 24 hours, and I made double my gold. To be honest, I probably could have sold this for even more. I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't. I don't know why I priced it that low, but whatever, it's still a lot of gold, can't really complain. But flipping is extremely fun. I think it's the best feeling in the world when you've researched something, you've taken a risk to buy something out, and then the risk pays off when it sells for more gold. It's just such a nice feeling, and compared to some of the boring farms you see, flipping is just not even comparable in terms of how fun it can be. And it's also extremely profitable as we open up the final lot of mail on this character. That makes, in total, this video, we have opened up 4.8 million gold, so pretty much 5 million gold, which is awesome. I think over half of that is profit, or around half, so what's that, around 2.5 million gold profit in the past 2 weeks. So over 1 million gold profit per week. And considering the fact that I play about half an hour a day on this account on my different servers, so what's that, about 3 hours a week, and I make over a million gold profit in 3 hours every week. That's over 300k gold an hour, which for pretty much being AFK, there's no other farm that can compete with that, not even get close to that. So it obviously is the best way of making gold in the game. That's why all the richest WoW players do it, and I hope you guys just give it a go. Maybe flip some materials, maybe flip some pets, flip some BOEs, just give it a go and see what you think, because it can be very profitable. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys, and until next time, see ya.